Sup fams, you're tuned in to the channel Eps episode 90. I'm your host, EEPMON. And for those who are listening in, if you like the content I'm providing you, please give a like and subscribe. It would greatly be appreciated. It will reach out to others who are aspiring to be digital artists, creatives, and entrepreneurs. So thank you very much. Today, I would like to talk to you all about starting a project. Because I don't know about you, but I find myself sometimes starting anything in general takes a lot of energy. It's tough. The hardest part of doing something or starting something, a project, is the beginning. It's the hardest. I don't know about you, but that's how I feel. And what I've come to learn is that it is best that you tackle the project into small steps, the smaller chunks. So, an example would be, let's say I'm working on a mural project, another mural, and what needs to happen is the following things. You need to create another presentation deck to show to the client. Be mindfully prepared that there will be some probably back and forth at least 3 times. Gotta wait a couple weeks until you get a consensus, a green light, and then when you start the project, you have to start to prepare. Okay, what the measurements, the installation. You got to notify the manufacturers that hey, this is coming up, and then you got to start up about ideation phase, concept phase, mock-up phase, and then showcase phase, consensus phase. And then once all parties are happy, client likes it, and then you get the green light, and then you manufacture phase, and then you get an installation. They come in, they install it for you, and that's that. Now, as I just laid out, is kind of typically what happens in such a scenario, if all goes well, of course. Because, of course, if there is the possibility that the client doesn't like what they see, knock on wood, every mural I've done so far has been very positively received. But in the event, you must be also mindful that, let's say, some adjustments need to be made. You need to take into account how to integrate that into your creative process too. So there's many steps, right? Don't we just wish we just want to okay, get the green light, do the job, and get paid? But no, reality, of course, doesn't really work like that. It doesn't matter what stage of your creative career you're at. It's always sort of this sort of project development cycle that every industry goes through, almost like a waterfall model or something like that. So that's what I need to do. Like, but don't, like, that is the grand scheme, but then you need to tackle it in small chunks. So dive even deeper. Okay, let's just start with the presentation bucket. And in the presentation bucket is like, okay, what do you need to put in there about the artist, works that you've done, previous mural projects, some concepts, very high level concepts in which you're thinking of how you want to conceive the project, the current project. And then I would probably go through that several times, like iterations. But it says, I know that every time I go back to it, and with fresh eyes, I like I spend no more than 2 hours crafting the presentation deck, even just maybe no more than 1 hour actually. And then the next day I go back and I go, oh, of course I'm missing this. Why am I missing that slide? Or what was I thinking? Oh, I got to readjust the wording. Like the text is not right. It's not as direct. It's not as communicated. So as you can see, crafting a presentation alone takes time to develop. But once you get the bare bones down, once you get the basic structure down, just the first hour of iterative process, you're warming up your brain. It's the warm up phase. You're getting yourself, cozying up with the project. These are important for you as well, because if you're just gonna go and jump the gun and go straight to the art, you have not primed and warmed up your mind to start the work. Think of building a presentation deck to show the client as a way of training and preparing what is to come. So by the time you finish the presentation deck, it probably takes me about like 3 or 4 days just to make sure that I'm content with the material. That anything I add anymore is just like it's useless. Like I have enough material to show to the client. That means you are primed. You're ready. Your mind is already. You have a much more clearer perspective of how to proceed. We're more confident. You know where to go, and how to communicate your idea to the client. So once that's done, then you have the meeting, and assuming and be mindful when you have that meeting is like, of course, the client will have some ideas, but they know that you're going in there because they also respect the artist. So at the end of the day, you're executing it. At the same time, you must also take into account the things that they will have asked, some asks for you, some suggestions, perhaps, ideas. And I'm guilty of this too. Sometimes my ego gets in the way. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm the artist. Why do I have to follow the script? But that's another exercise for us to go through that experience and really, and every iterative process, and every time you meet a client, you get more knowledge of knowing how to like step back and like, okay, hear them out. Don't get emotionally don't get emotional of what they have to say, because you have to listen and later just take it in and review it post meeting, so you can look at it with fresh eyes again, objectively, rationally, not just not emotionally. Okay. So that's another. So you have to go through that. Take some time to let it marinate before you can respond in a very concrete and objective manner. Yes. And then you're gonna go back and forth with that. Okay. And hopefully you come to a consensus with the client, and where all parties are happy, get the green light, and hopefully the amount of ask that you are asking in terms of payment is sound, and then you can proceed. So I think that one of the key things when you're working on a project is to always step back, look at the bigger picture at play, and keep check of your emotions. And like I said, I'm totally guilty of that. Sometimes I get off my rocker and we're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I just said that. I have much to learn. But all is good. That's how we learn. We're human beings. We're not perfect. Right? Human beings, we are emotional beings. It's even harder for us artists because we artists have to create and we have to express our emotions to the world. Now we need to learn how to integrate our world of creativity into society. So it's good training for us. Now the project starts, and of course there's a lot of steps in there as well. And as much as us creators like to just disappear months on end and come back with voila, here's the piece, right? I hope creators really don't have to do that. That's gonna scare the client. We must be communicative at every step of the process. Okay, you got to develop a cadence, especially when it comes to public art, murals, things that will engage society. That's probably why we have agents. Like most of the time, you have agencies or agents that represent creators because they are the ones who are the middle people, the liaison between artists and corporations, clients. They will be the communicators. They know how to find a fine line between appeasing the both worlds, artist and corporate or whatever you have it. I'm just saying that as an example. Corporate, or could be any kind of client. But for me, I don't have an agent. I work with agencies from time to time, but not all the time. And I like this process currently because again, because I'm telling you creators from my personal perspective and my experience how I go about things. So, when a project starts, you have to ensure that you develop a cadence to be communicative to the client at pretty much every step of the way. A step of the way is like, I'm not saying every day, not even every week. But you have a concept, you have a mock-up, you have the design phase, and then you have the development phase, and then show the client, probably some revisions back and forth, maybe, and then final production, installation, and bells and whistles launch time. Now, that's probably laid out 5 or 6 iterations or something like that. So you want to make sure that depending on how long the timeline is, you want to handhold your client, showing, hey, this is the big mood board of the direction. And you take a big mood board idea and you slowly narrowed it down like a funnel. It's like you guide them through the process to which you have a mock-up that is understood by the client. And if they're happy with that, then yes, design the hell out of it. And once that design's done, you show it to them. Most likely there's some feedback, of course. And then once everything's good, and of course, like, you have to communicate too, right? It's not just clients calling all the shots. You have to ensure that they understand that you got to respect the artist too. Sometimes they would also forget why you're there in the first place. It's not just them calling the shots. They want your valuable input as a creator to provide your input. That's why they hire you in the first place. So you got to learn. This is a learning process, how to find that that push and pull dynamic. You know what I'm saying? If you're saying yes all the time, that's not your artwork. Bottom line. So the art of negotiation, the art of diplomacy is in the cards for those who are wanting to venture as a creative entrepreneur. So, and then yeah. Once design is done, everything's okay. Installation, it's no going back, and bam, there it is. So that's sort of a little bit of a synopsis of like how I approach projects. And but I approach every process into mini chunks. Okay? Because my strength is not tackling it all at once. It's divide and conquer. I have to really use the energy I have at that moment of time, could be an hour, could be two, to really put the things in place. And once I have that, I let that marinate. I don't look at it, and then I know, because I know it's going to be running in the back of my mind. Let it marinate. Go back to it. Revise it. Go away from it. Come back. Revise it. And by doing that at every step, seems to work for me. Sometimes I know immediately, like I have this spark of inspiration. I know immediately what the artwork should be, which is great because it does expedite the process. But other times there are times where, you know, I take a little longer because, you know, there's it also depends on the client. It depends of you know, they have a lot of asks, or there's specific like real like hard constraints that I need to consider, right? Especially the budgeting constraints. If you have a huge budget constraints that for a very ambitious project, then, you know, that's a whole other story. But anyway, I'm not sure if I made any sense, but I just thought that I would like to provide you my insights of how I assess a project, how I break it down, so that we can all hopefully somewhat stay sane at the end of the day. Right, Slime? Right. Anyway, have a great evening, have a great afternoon, have a great morning, wherever you are in the world. This is Channel Eeps, episode 90, about project segmentation. That's right. Okay. Like and subscribe. Hope you like what I had to say. Like to hear. Oh my God, that's kind of cool. All right. See you later. Bye.